So, good afternoon, everybody. I think we are sharp on time. This time we want to start for respecting who was very punctual on this, and we want to welcome you in this second session of a series that Jellyfy decided to launch because of the relevance of this topic on the market. So, future-proof your organization with Black Swan capabilities. And today, the topic of the day is entrepreneurship as a widespread culture to lead in Black Swan periods. We will talk today about entrepreneurship, very interesting views and experiences from all the speakers that we will have. And at the same time, we will see from a perspective of how this will help during the emergencies or the difficulties of a Black Swan period. Let me introduce, first of all, the speakers that we will have today. My name is Massimo Cannizzo. I am the CEO of Jellyfy Middle East and also sponsor of this initiative.
Hi to all. I'm Diego Fernandez. Nice to see you, all of you here. Hope we can do a very good session and leave you a lot of things to have in mind and to put in action, of course. So I will be complementing the pitch from Andrea, which is our expert on this matter. So hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Andrea Andini. I'm in charge of our Business Community Explorer, in which we have developed learning formats for entrepreneurs, manager companies, and startups. And I'm happy to be here with all of you today.
Thank you, Diego. Thank you, Andrea. And first of all, I would like to spend a few words to explain what Jellyfy is, for who doesn't know. As Jellyfy is an innovation platform that connects high-tech B2B startups with organizations to innovate processes, products, and business models, providing investments and know-how of experts in digital transformation and innovation software products. And the key word here is actually innovation platform that connects. This is our definition. I think that this picture now is explaining even better what we are talking about. Actually, Jellyfy is connecting as a community different stakeholders. So it's connecting startups, investors, and organizations, matching the demand and the supply between them. So we provide services to startups of incubation investments. We provide due diligence and deal flow to investors. And we provide also consulting and innovation advisory and digital transformation. I don't want to spend more time of this webinar to talk about our company. You can find more information in the links that are reported in the bottom right part of the slide. So, going ahead, we want to introduce our initiative that we launched last week, and it's a series of 10 sessions that want to investigate and discuss with all of you if your organization is ready to fight Black Swan like COVID-19. Actually, COVID-19 was an event that absolutely unprecedented, despite somebody can say that doctors maybe could forecast this, but for sure in the business community, nobody was expecting this lockdown could happen even. So we wanted to launch this initiative in order to explain how to manage what is an unprecedented event that is called Black Swan. Black Swan theory has been introduced by Nassim Taleb during the crisis of 2008, and it was defined as an event that is a surprise to the observer, something that cannot be forecasted. And then this event, it should be something with a major effect, a major impact, of course, so relevant to the community. And another characteristic is that the Black Swan is an event that even if was not known, could be explained ex post after this is happening. Of course, nobody is able to arrive to the same conclusions and to make the same considerations before it happens. And then we want to highlight a very important consideration that Nassim Taleb shared in his book, that a company can be also considered robust enough to manage complexity in crisis and so on. But this is not the right position, no, to avoid benefits, because you can be robust but not flexible, not agile enough to manage a crisis like this. Or you can be resilient, that for sure is good to return to the previous status of the business, maybe after a period of downturn, but this is not helping to get an opportunity, because actually the real solution is to adopt black swan capabilities, as we say before, in order to become anti-fragile. The position to be anti-fragile, that is exactly what Nassim Taleb is explaining, is being in the position to get benefits, to get an advantage compared with the competitors. And after this black swan event, after this discontinuity, actually to have an acceleration of the result of the repositioning of the company in this new context, and having an advantage for that. So this is a short introduction about the theory. Let me now share with you our video that is also the trailer of the initiative.
Since we believe that we should not face this just as a collection of ideas that are spread in the universe, but we wanted to give an overall framework, to have an holistic approach to this topic and look at the 360 degrees the company, and looking at each component of the company, what to do. And in particular, we created these 7 areas, 7 chapters that we want to somehow represent the full company. So we want to focus on the purpose. We want to talk about the purpose of the company. We want to talk about humans. We want to talk about the change that we want to foster. We want to talk about the experience of the customer. We want to talk about top line impacts and actions. We want to talk about ecosystem and bottom line. So the full spread of the company. And since it's a big scope, we need more sessions. And we are doing this series of 10 sessions that will go through these topics one by one. Today, we have planned the today's session to talk about entrepreneurship mindset. So how to change and to leverage the change of mindset to be more entrepreneurial in order to promote a better reaction to problems, and also being more strong and compacted into the company in order to face this. And we organize each topic in these 3 chapters that are ideas for staying relevant in the short term, so how to survive, I would rephrase, ideas for the relaunch, so as soon as we will be back to the reopening, what we can do to leverage at best what we learned and how to reaccelerate the start. And last but not least, ideas for leading in the new normal, because here in this are sitting the anti-fragile topics that we were saying before, and it's absolutely the way that we need to look at the concept of acceleration. You will see actually, and we did this analysis, that in this period, at the end, we are looking at something that is not completely new. We look at solutions, smart working, use of virtual reality, authoritative processes done by supply chain, in the supply chain by blockchain and so on. All these stuff are not new, are all digital features that were available. Agile methodologies, all is already available. What we need to do is just accelerate the adoption, because this is part of the black swan capabilities. Of course, you can find more information about the other session in the link that you see in the bottom right. I'm very glad to introduce you the other speakers that you saw before, some of you already. Andrea, please go ahead.
Thank you, Massimo. Today, we will talk about entrepreneurship applied to corporate contexts, and we will do it starting from the current scenario in which it's manifesting the combination of the fourth industrial revolution and the drama of the global crisis generated by COVID-19. In the central part of our session, we will discover stories of entrepreneurs, and we will try to grasp from their experiences some useful lessons to apply about the potential and the risks to be taken into account. Finally, before the Q&A session, we will discover practical ways to be able to start with entrepreneurship within your company. Diego Fernandez, CEO of Jellyfy Iberia and pioneer in the field of corporate entrepreneurship, will accompany us during this journey. So, the point is that on the one hand, we have the third wave of the Internet of Everything that we've been riding for at least 5 years, and it's part of a broader picture of the Internet-based economy that was built over the past 30 years. The enabling technologies of this fourth industrial revolution have begun to mark the turning point in all sectors, even those traditionally less digital and more linked to the world of the atoms, such as transport, manufacturing, production, cities management, and healthcare. On the other hand, since the beginning of this year, we are facing and will face in the coming years probably the biggest crisis since the Second World War. So it's important, as Massimo has said, to react to COVID-19. But since we unfortunately don't know when it will finish, and it seems that it's something that won't disappear in a short time. And in any case, even if we hope so, we don't know when the next black swan could arrive. It's important for those who have a business responsibility building a sustainable and growth scenario by accepting the current situation as the new normal. And a revolution, a great change, can be defined as such only when it's a source of innovation on all aspects of our life and therefore of our economies. The fourth industrial revolution is marking the rapid growth of new markets, emerging markets, the birth of new sectors, and the radical transformation of the existing ones. And this dynamic goes hand in hand with this about the knowledge is needed to be competitive in markets and industries that didn't exist until a few years ago, and prepare us for what we will invent in the coming years. And the potential and the speed offered by new technology have also generated, in the current scenario, discrepancies between what companies and organizations already on the market are able to do, and our renovated expectations as professionals, consumers, and citizens. So in this situation and in the last few years, startups that have filled these gaps have become the new corporate giants of our era, throwing out, in some cases, existing leaders in many industries. And regarding the effects of the COVID-19, it's impossible to know what will happen and how the situation will evolve. It's an unexpected event, a black swan, or perhaps it was not such an unexpected event after SARS, but we got there unprepared, and therefore we are experiencing it and facing it as such. It generates demographic impacts dramatically on the elderly and the weak, and it also generates a reversal in our perception and needs, with consequences and impacts that probably will last longer over time. It's imposing research and adoption of innovative solutions in every field based on technology that we already have. So excluding the vaccine, unfortunately, for the moment, and this is happening and will happen very quickly. As Massimo said, the adoption times will be accelerated enormously. Basically, if we combine, I think that if we combine the effects of and the opportunities of the fourth industrial revolution with the negative change of context generated by COVID-19 and this black swan, we found ourselves in a situation where all the sources of innovative opportunities are stimulated at maximum power. So Bill Gates, a few days ago, I read he compared the effects of this pandemic to those of a world war, with the difference that we are all on the same side. I hope it's not right, but even if it was only partially right, it means that many companies will be wiped out and the functioning of several key sectors in our economies will change forever. So we are in the midst of a perfect storm, and if you want to see the glass half full, and we want to do it because we are still alive and we have to honor and be grateful for our life, there could be no better situation to innovate, to start doing new things and generate a positive impact, and also write the history, I think, of our times in every area, starting from business. So as we anticipated, and we will deepen the next session in this cycle of initiatives organized by Jellyfy, technology plays an important role, but it isn't the only one nor the most important. For me, entrepreneurship, from my point of view, is the key to innovate, and this will be even more true in this new scenario. It's in the nature of entrepreneurs to look for opportunities of change, because it's especially when the context reduces certainties and eliminates the status quo that the greatest challenges, the greatest opportunities open up for those used to build and create something from scratch, and therefore to seize these opportunities. So taking risks, we can see a definition, a minimum definition of entrepreneurship is taking risks, putting scarce resources together in a certain context to get something new that can generate a profit and be sustainable. And this is what entrepreneurs do, and create a whole new world. I think that a new generation of entrepreneurs will be the most important force of good available on the planet. Having said that, we can't afford to leave the responsibility to this change only on the shoulders of those who will come as new entrepreneurs, but also companies that are already on the market can go through this moment and come out with more solid foundations for future growth, as long as that they are ready to adopt a more entrepreneurial approach. Here we could have a problem. Because if we consider the characteristics of management as traditionally in contrast with the entrepreneurial approach, because we have the search for risk and uncertainty on the one hand, and the attention to manage and minimize risks on the other, the centralization in the decision process and direct command line for entrepreneurs who want to quickly follow their intuition against a typically and necessarily organizational complexity within organization. Likely, it's not so true, and the last decades of open innovation and new methodology such as agile, lean, design thinking, and finally the entrepreneurial revolution of technological startups have started to change the traditional management approach and the way in which companies can be both large and structured by one side and faster and entrepreneurial on the other. So here we see the approach of what we call corporate entrepreneurship. It can be outside in, with an eye turn outwards, and therefore to the development of collaboration that can result in investment towards startups through incubators, accelerators, corporate venture capital funds. And this is what typically you hear about corporate entrepreneurship, or better to say, in addition, you can adopt an inside-out approach in which the source of entrepreneurial innovation becomes the people who work inside your company, and in this case, we talk about intrapreneurship. In this point, Diego, what do you think of this double way to approach corporate entrepreneurship?
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. I think this is a very relevant topic to discuss because, of course, normally the corporation, when they need to start a strategy around how to integrate startups, how to innovate in a faster way, in a disruptive way, and so on, they always think about to work only on startups. But we from Shellify, we are always talking about this approach that Andrea just said, which is, in our opinion, need to be a combination of both. As you can see, of course, there is a lot of experienced innovators in the room. It's totally different to talk about the inside-out approach, and the outside-in. Inside approach for us is all related to culture. Is how we are preparing our culture in our company to be a big entrepreneur. Like how we can help all our population, our teams, to innovate in a daily basis. How they can conquer a mindset of innovators and so on. So this is a very long trip that we will see more examples in this talk, especially. But I think the interesting difference with the outside in is that, of course, you can combine this. Our recommendation is to do both, of course. Meanwhile, you are working with your internal culture in terms of the readiness of innovation of your company. You can access to accelerate some specific operations and new businesses, integrating outside the outside knowledge, bring it by, of course, startups or research centers, or specific or vertical incubators and so on. So this is, I think, is to clarify. I think is the combination of these two ways to work in innovation are for us is the powerful of the methodology. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you. Thanks to you, Diego. So the term intrapreneurship was coined by G4 Pinchot in the 80s as dreamers who do, those who takes hands-on responsibility for creating innovation any kind within a business. Doesn't apply to a specific company function, as it instead privileges the role of individuals who act by taking initiative with a bottom-up approach and looking at the company, the business of the company as a whole. And so here in order to do so, we can say that entrepreneurs operate at the boundaries of the organizations. They work on products, services, technologies within the company in order to maximize diversification and lead disruption processes. So here we come with the entrepreneur stories, because what do these products, the Facebook, the services, the Facebook-like buttons, Gmails, a PlayStation, a Macintosh, and a Post-it have all in common? So these are all innovations that have been invented within large and existing corporations by unsuspected entrepreneurs. And here we can see Steve Jobs. We are used to thinking of Steve Jobs as an entrepreneur, and it certainly has been. But after founding his company in a period where Apple sales revolved around the Apple II, he had and defined himself as entrepreneurs, returning to the garage, but in a large company with a small group of people to change everything again and create the Macintosh. And in doing this, he went against considerable internal resistance in investing in a revolutionary product, and this situation didn't improve after the launch on the market. It laid the foundations for the personal computer revolution, but it was not an immediate success, especially in terms of margins for the high cost of the production it had. So the first lessons learned, he definitely taught us that it's better ask for forgiveness than for permission. And maybe we could also add that as entrepreneur, you should come to work every day willing to be fired, even if you work in a company you have founded. And wanting to abstract the history of this incredible innovator, we can certainly say that the entrepreneurial spirit is something that you feel inside and that characterizes the way you approach things. So companies should, from my point of view, first of all, identify the potential entrepreneurs that they already have inside their organization. And this should be the starting point of an entrepreneurship strategy before even thinking about how to teach and transfer entrepreneurship techniques to their employee. What do you think about it, Diego?
Absolutely, Andrea. As you already said perfectly, is in our case, we are working with some companies that they are asking us how to start to identify the best talent and the let me say the hotspots in your company. Normally what we do is starting with, as Andrea said, is identifying the innovation capabilities of each individual in the company. And this could be, of course, you can do it from the human resources kind of approach or an entrepreneurship kind of program. Normally, when we start a program like this, we start doing an assessment of each individual in terms of innovation readiness. And when you see the overall capabilities of the team, then you can design specific paths for this kind of people. And of course, the lesson that we are seeing here is very, very important at the beginning. If you don't know which are and where are your teams in terms of innovation capabilities, mindset to be entrepreneur and so on, you can design any kind of action related to that.
Yeah, thank you, Diego. So you are suggesting an entrepreneurship readiness together with HR functions. It's very important, the HR function, because it's cross. So after you can work on entrepreneurship projects and program inside specific and together with specific business lines. But for all this part, and we will see after also in other components of an entrepreneurship strategy, the HR function is really crucial. So the next stories, we are at the beginning of the 90s, and Sony collaborated with Nintendo for the production of a new video game console. And when the deal jumped, it seemed obvious that Sony would withdraw from the game, since its contribution to the project was mainly related to the optical technology, while Sony had no experience in the video game market, in which Nintendo was the world leader, followed by Sega at the time. Things didn't go in this way, because at the time, what was just at the time an engineer from Sony decided not to give up, and riding the wave of those who believed that Sony should enter the business on its own, he put together 40 people to transform what was just an idea into the most successful console of all time. So here, also in this case, an iron motivation to reach one intuition and the ability to transform it into a successful successful product are the basis of this story. So no matter the job position, entrepreneurs do not operate on the well-established path of the company, and in doing so, they are really able to cut the time to market. They work on as the PlayStation as a minimum viable product, what we call today a minimum viable product, and they were the first company to bring a console with 3D video games on the market. Nintendo arrived just 2 years later with a 64 console bit, while the PlayStation had twice as much. And in the meantime, in those 2 years in advance, Sony changed the market and Nintendo never regained the lost leadership. So for me, entrepreneurship, what I learned from the story of Ken Kutaragi is that entrepreneurship is a powerful asset and it's a powerful weapon to leverage an internal asset within your company and as a key to enter into a completely different market as a challenger and take companies that already operate there by surprise. Diego, in your experience, have you ever found yourself supporting companies have entered new markets through entrepreneurship activities?
Absolutely. I think this lesson is very, very relevant as well, because following the process, when you already identify this talent and you can create like a sort of pathway for them, it's very important to put some resources and believe in them, of course. And this lesson, I think, is quite relevant in relationship of if they have ideas, you need to set up some kind of process or specific methodologies to help them to innovate. For example, we have a very big tier 1 industrial client which are developing infrastructures and so on. And we were working with an internal entrepreneur that they start looking for ideas on 3D printing, but he bought a 3D printer at home, and during the night he was doing learning how to put this technology in place for the company, and he started to propose individually things for the clients. I have an idea, I can improve that process with this piece, and so on. So in some point, when the company see that this attitude and that this entrepreneur is going to the business side, and all the product alignment and so on and deployment is aligned, they put a lot of resources and they already create a new area. They're diversifying in 3D printing only related to operations. So I think it's a very good case to illustrate this lesson, because when you identify these talents, you need to follow them and see what happens, because if they are aligned to the time, ambition, and the mindset, you need to put resources on that, of course.
Yeah, about talents, the guys we see in this photo is Paul Buchheit in 1996. He started working on his own web-based email client. It was something futuristic for the times, too much futuristic, so he decided to abandon his project. 5 years later, Paul was the 23rd employee of Google, and combining the extraordinary Google search functionality with the possibility of offering infinite space for emails, he took his projects out of the drawer and coordinated the group of people who created Gmail. According to the story of Paul, he would have worked on the project in the 20% of the time that Google would seem to give its employees to freely develop new projects. Whether true or not, we don't know for sure. A specific company culture that is truly open to error, experimentation, and an organization in which time is given to innovate is fundamental for the success of every entrepreneurship strategy. And at the same time, adopt an entrepreneurship strategy means being able to attract all the Paul Buchheit out there and win the war for talent. So it's not just a way to enhance and leverage your current employee. but also the best way to attract new employees with the necessary characteristics to grow the company that perhaps otherwise they would have founded their own startup, or they have already tried, like Paul, to do it without success, and instead they would have the potential to be entrepreneurs inside your established company. The next story is quite similar, but different. Justin Rosenstein was among the first Facebook and employees, and during one of the hackathons organized by Facebook to select new employees, he developed a prototype of what shortly afterwards became the Facebook-like button. Here, the point also in this case is that we learn how to use entrepreneurship to attract potential entrepreneurial talents to your organization and to make them work on your products and services as long as we give them space and tools to do it really. This is especially true with millennials like Justin, given the enormous attention paid by the people of his generation in being able to spend their time in something that makes sense to them and generates a real impact. So compared to the invention of the like button, Justin said that he wanted to give and spread a little optimism. But when he noticed some years later the distorting effects of social media related to the mechanism of likes in every aspect of business and private life, he decided to leave Facebook with $700 million in shares to found its own software company, Asana, which today has exceeded 100 million revenues, annual recurring revenues, with an evaluation of the company that is around $1 billion. So we need and we could teach entrepreneurship and show young people that a great way to start an entrepreneurial, not just an entrepreneurial career, is to do it within or a growing young company, or better, in an established, well-known corporation, and not just by themselves. On this point, Diego, in your experience, how is important to consider the topic related to talents when you're working to structure entrepreneurship programs, and compare these topics, for example, to other topics, purely business issues, such entering in a new market or product innovation?
Yeah, I think it's also a key point. And let me say, it's not. I think it's very interesting to hire people, of course, because sometimes big corporations are not very or enough sexy to get some kind of talent. They are looking for very fancy kind of companies, and sometimes some industrial companies and so on. They are losing some positions to get some very good talent. But it's also a very good hiring strategy. It's also a very good retention of talent strategy. You need to be very aligned with this for the intention of your employees, and help them to go outside, even if they need to spin off something and get out of your company.
Yeah. The last one, I will move fast and quickly in order to finish all the presentation, and so we can have time for the Q&A session. This is the story of a formidable story of innovation, of the birth of the 3M adhesives with the Post-it, and this was true through the collaboration between a chemist specialized in adhesives, Spencer Silver, and an inventor who had a management position in 3M at the time, that was Arthur Fry. Here the point is that you need to, the story is particularly useful because it helps us to reason that entrepreneurship, as well as entrepreneurship, is a team game and not a solo game. It's essential for entrepreneurs to find the right connections and investment to transform their ideas into reality, and even for entrepreneurs, there are fundamental stakeholders without whom they couldn't realize and operate. And these are the sponsors and the enablers. The sponsors are the executive who own the budget and can feed into corporate strategic planning. They are responsible for providing entrepreneurs with a clear business vision, appropriate resources, and of course staffing. On the other side, side, the enablers are the managers required to help creating the conditions for business transformation to happen. They can act as idea scout, identifying new ideas and bringing them to the attention of sponsor, and idea connectors, helping entrepreneurs to navigate these organizations. This is a crucial point, connecting them with other relevant stakeholders to challenge and to nurture the idea. So we have, so it should be more clear to all of us why entrepreneurship is fundamental for the growth of the companies and why it's even more so in the current context. The last 2 points we want to discuss in these sessions, and maybe we can discuss also during the Q&A session, are when entrepreneurs play a useful role in the business cycle and how to start an entrepreneurship program. About the first point, entrepreneurs play a crucial role in the explorational and startup phases, both with a view starting a new business and innovating an existing one. I don't believe that they are valid profiles for all phases, but that they are the right people to go from 0 to 1, especially when it isn't at a linear innovation, while it's good to rely on other kind of profiles for the scale up within a medium or large company. Here we can say how to get started. This is the last part before the Q&A session. As Jellyfy, we have developed a fast track for digital entrepreneurs with the aim of offering companies a program capable of combining, on the one hand, the useful training skills and develop their own entrepreneur knowledge toolbox, and in the same time, the opportunity to immediately apply the skills and the tools acquired during the track on real innovation challenges and projects. One of the companies that used this fast track with Jellyfy was NLX, part of the NL group that provides innovative solutions aimed at energy transformation in fields like electric mobility, smart homes, and smart cities. NLX is the company with the group's most innovative and frontier businesses, and therefore they decided to start right from NLX to work on a radical change on leadership, mindset, and approach to innovation by looking at entrepreneurship. We started our fast track with a session aimed at sponsors in executive roles to define the innovation projects and the desired outcomes with, in this case, a top-down approach. Immediately after, we worked with the HR transformation function to identify the people to be included in the work groups, about 140, who would participate in the fast track for the development of the project. And after the onboarding phase, the program included 6 steps with 2 half-day sessions inside each. At the end of the 8 weeks, a demo day was held during which the groups presented the projects for the validation by the sponsor, that they will, after this demo day, invest in some of these internal projects. So the Digital Entrepreneurs Fast Track is an excellent way to quickly and concretely experience the potential offered by the entrepreneurship in your company. It is used to complete the explorational phase that precedes the startup phase and combines and training activities, as we said, as we've seen, with an hands-on approach on real projects. It can bring on board both the HR function and the innovation, and also the specific business line that can contribute by bringing challenges and receiving innovative solutions. This kind of program is especially useful when you want to start with an entrepreneurship action, and therefore you need to quickly test a new way of working and to obtain results on the level of skills and business design, which they are prodromal to create consensus inside and within the company for further and more structured actions and programs that also touch the subsequent phases up to the launch of a new product or the creation of a new venture of a new company. So speaking of this, here we see a broader picture related to the different actions and phases of entrepreneurship. Diego, what can you tell us about it?
Yes, as Andrea said, this is a broader vision because it's a snapshot of a full model of development of entrepreneurship. But I think we are run out of time, but I can briefly tell you what is this picture. We normally, as we say, we normally start taking a picture of which are the main capabilities of our employees and teams, of course. And then the first approach is to start in we say the academy part, which is learning capabilities. We design a very specific and very nailed plan to help them to develop soft skills, hard skills, and overall the personal assessment that we mentioned before. When we do that, then we have a broad picture of the employees. Is where are they? What are the capabilities in terms of innovation, the readiness that we mentioned, and so on. And then with this, in parallel, we align the top management of the company. Means that we work on the ambition part. Means which are the main challenges during this crisis or normally in your normal operations that you need to face. And we do we combine with external insights, internal insights, and so on. So the output for this phase is to get a very deep internal validation of the real challenges that the company need to address. And then, of course, when we have all the employees and the teams already aligned and they already have the mindset to start to work in innovation and all is aligned in the top management, we start with the phase of co-creation program, which is the phase 3 that of course can be a very liquid kind of program, but normally what we do here is to align the challenges with the teams. We combine the teams, combining different mindsets and different capabilities. We create that teams, and then we start to co-create around that challenges to generate a lot of ideas, and then we curate that ideas, we generate a pitch, we train that to the teams to do a very great pitch in front of a top management, so they will go all through the corporate interview in different part of different departments, and then they present the solution to the top management in a pitch day when they have the go or no go to the projects, and then we jump into the feasibility plans, POCs plans, and so on. So as you can see, this phase is very active. We put in action all the employees to create a lot of ideas and to validate them in a very faster way. And then, of course, we can jump to different phases, which is more related to create external companies like new ventures or develop new MVPs, or of course with our capabilities of technology or internal capabilities from the company. This is more or less, I'm very quick, sorry about that, what we do normally in a very wide and full program in entrepreneurship for companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego. So here we are with the Q&A session. I hope you're glad the presentation, and now we can move if we have some questions with.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Diego. I want to apologize. Unfortunately, my voice seems is not very good today, bandwidth problems. But let's start the Q&A.
Okay.
Okay. So I will go ahead with some of the questions. I'm Amanda and I'm supporting this event. First question I heard was from myself, actually, as just a general thing I think is on a lot of minds today. How do we think about this kind of entrepreneurship effort in terms of COVID-19 and potential staff reductions? And I would give that to any of you to answer.
Okay.
Andrea, please go ahead.
Okay, and okay, so this is a good question, and I can say that in this period, of course, companies need to focus on what they need to be alive, to stay alive, and this is clear. But in the same time, I think that we have a great opportunities to invest the time of people that unfortunately right now can't work for many reasons, because they can't go to the place where they used to work, or because there aren't any orders by clients. So there is this critical situation. And what I see from our experience is that this is the right moment, because people have all these times available to invest in something useful. So if you think about entrepreneurship from a learning point of view, from a training point of view, in order to work on the mindset and the techniques before starting a real structure in entrepreneurship programs, and maybe find the mechanism to also invest in internal idea, you can work, I think, in this period, if you have to start, of course, especially in this period on the training part, and you can manage these activities in a remote way, so you don't need to meet people, because you can access to programs like the ones we have structures by home without moving. And this is really, I think that it's a really key opportunity in order to be prepared after this critical phase. So this is what I can reply to this question, and this is what we are doing with some corporates in order to bring the others in the market in advance, using in a purpose way the time we have right now, and during this time we can do maybe other things. So I don't know, what do you think about it, Diego?
Yeah, absolutely right. I think it's now with this crisis now. I think it's the role of innovation is quite key now. I think we need to refine our strategies and our priorities. We can do the same as in January.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have many questions that are raising. Amanda, can you help to select the right one?
Of course. Okay, so there was another interesting question here. What about if your company has 50 interesting project proposals, but only one final project is implemented? How do you manage the frustration of all of the other teams who have not been selected? It's a really difficult situation, because in an organization, every employee wants to be the best. In another sense, how do you say no to the rest of the participants?
Yeah.
I can take this one, but you can add Andrea and Diego, of course. I think I want to highlight something very nice, that when I started many years ago to talk about innovation hubs, innovation labs, the place to create prototypes and to start to try, I was described that this was the right place to fail fast. So I was surprised at what fail fast, but actually this is the reality, no? Actually, it's important to contribute in the ideation. The fact that today this project has been not selected means two things. Or maybe it's the next priority for the next month, good enough in any case. Or maybe the good job done highlighted that the project was not profitable enough, convenient enough. So it's better not to avoid to invest money in the wrong direction. In any case, this is value created by the employee, contributing in seeking the potential issue before spending the money. So this is an example how to see the contribution in any case.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. I think all contributions are very valuable. Yeah, and we need to compensate and to argument very well why we as a company we can move forward with a lot of ideas at the same time. I think sometimes we can combine ideas, of course. Sometimes we can encourage them to go into a second phase of this idea, maybe need some adjustments. So we don't have to end all the process or the ideas that they have no go. They can still working on idea and in another level.
Yeah, I agree. I can also add that it's important to create the right KPIs before starting this kind of initiatives in order to celebrate also the failures as a crucial part of the process. So this is important, and it's also important to understand that entrepreneurship is not for all and for everyone inside the company. So you need to choose the right people, and I think that if you choose the right people and you create the right KPIs before the initiatives, they will not be, they don't matter about if the idea of a specific person will succeed or the other will, maybe the company want to abandon a specific projects for many different reasons. So it's the combination in between because they do this because they need to be proactive, they need to create something new, and this is something that if you choose the right people, it won't finish if you just say no to some of the projects that you have developed with a project, with a group or with another one.
Okay, if we can move to the next question, we also have two in our chat box for the Q&A. And I think the two are kind of related. One is asking if it's only applicable to have these types of programs for small teams with flat structures. And the other is saying, is it applicable essentially to new employees or only those who have been there a long time? So are there restrictions on where you can implement this kind of program? And I think that's a good one maybe for Andrea, but you guys can all answer, I'm sure.
Yeah, as we've seen during the presentation, this is a good tool to attract new talent and, of course, to engage them when they enter into your organization. So new employees, it's okay to work with them. Also, in this case, if they are they have been chosen as potential entrepreneurs, so it's not for everyone. And about the dimensions of the teams, I don't see any problems at all. Also, in big, huge organizations, we work with small teams. For example, now in NLX, we are working with 40 people, so 4 teams of 10 people each, but we can do the same job with a single group, so also with 10 people or 5 people. So it's not a matter, smaller is better in this case, because you really need an hands-on approach during the coaching phase with the groups. From the other hand, in the training activities through digital contents and digital platforms could be widespread inside and within your organizations. Also, you can use these contents with people that will not be part of your entrepreneurship activities in terms of projects. So it could be a good part of your HR training strategy about new contents and new useful tools for innovation.
Yeah, on the other side, I want to say now, when the question is how this entrepreneurship can impact the base of the pyramid, I want to highlight something. In this COVID-19 period, we saw excellent examples of leadership communication to the employees, really touching, empathically the mood of the people that were in lockdown and so on. This was a good example of real transparency from the leadership in sharing the common concern about the situation and sharing also the human side of the leadership. This is something that could be something to repeat. I think it's very important that the base of the pyramid knows about the good success and the strength of the company, but at the same time also the challenges that the leadership sometimes face. I think the base of the pyramid needs to share the complexity of doing business, especially in certain periods. So I think that this is some good communication, transparency, and direct communication, open communication can help a lot to build a common entrepreneurship mood and feeling across all the pyramid.
Okay, finally, we have, I think, 2 more very interesting questions. All of your questions are very interesting, let me assure you that. For the sake of time, we'll take a couple more minutes for these questions. One asks, when considering the uncertainty related to what the business world will look like after COVID, innovating could mean to burn the boat and start over in another industry with another model, fail fast and fail smart. When you don't have predefined KPIs for such dramatic circumstances, how do you take that kind of decision?
Diego?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are talking about maybe some small and medium companies, of course, because big ones are trying to do a lot of things, but not close the full company, of course. We are working with small companies. All of them, some of them, of course, are taking these kind of decisions. I think it's quite complicated to have a very dramatic decision like this. I think the first thing for me is to take in account what are your assets. So if you are dismissing to change to dismissing your actual or your current business and trying to figure out in which business you can jump into, you need to figure out which are your assets and which are your new targets, your new industry, and that you can be valuable of. Of course, it's not a very light decision, but I think it's in this period. For example, we were talking with a company which are working in tourism. As you can imagine now, they are having a very big impact. And they are changing a lot, and they are taking into account that they already have a lot of algorithms to filter and to create very big data around a topic. So they are trying to change from a tourist perspective to a retail perspective in terms of e-commerce, because e-commerce now is rising. So these kind of changes, I think it's your first move is to figure out in which sector or with your assets and which part you can be very useful and successful, of course.
Okay, shall we move to the next? All right, so several people asked specifically, how would you assess the entrepreneurial human component, like the emotional intelligence and so forth, of digital talents in the organization? Others ask, how do you implement this during the hiring process, not only with millennials, but also senior management? And others ask, practically speaking, how do you assess entrepreneurial capabilities of people?
Yeah, maybe Diego, here we can come back to the readiness tool you were mentioned during the session. If you want to explore these topics. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's when we talk about the mindset, you need to identify, of course, the mindset is transversal to all the company, of course. Then you have the specific capabilities in terms of innovation, or which people are more open to changes, what people are more they need to be in the background and they don't want to be the first mover and so on. So this process is quite complex, and our recommendation is we need to be aligned to the human resources kind of department, because they already have a big picture of each individuals. So what we do normally in that part is to align with them which are the main goals that you want to achieve, and then we move with a specific exercise and learning capabilities kind of sessions to identify how they behave in these sessions, and how we can identify which are the hotspots, which are the followers, and so on. So we have several categories, and then we jump into how we can create a pathway to help them to go to another stage.
Yes, on this point, I can add that a good thing would be to give some playgrounds, open playgrounds, like, I don't know, crowdsourcing platforms, idea management platforms that could be open for all employees in order to see what happened. This is a bottom-up approach. You can have also, like in the case history with NLX, we had a top-down approach because we decided that with the cherry picking, that this employee, this one, and the other one are ready to work on entrepreneurship program. And this is an approach when you want to go faster and you already know something about organizations and your people. Another approach would be a bottom-up approach with a platform with physical and digital spaces, if you are a large and big organizations, that you give open to your employee to tackle particular business challenges. So you can be open about the challenges that the companies is dealing with, for example, from the technological side, from the business side. I think that this is a good way to sit and watch what happened, and after you can understand and you can verify the situation about specific talents that will emerge inside these internal networks. So this could be another way in the meantime that you are active with specific initiatives in specific business line with specific people to start and to let entrepreneurial talents emerge in a bottom-up way.
Just to finish, let me just pick one which is I think very easy to answer. Manuel is asking what's the average time it takes to implement an entrepreneurship program. I think it's very quickly. It depends of the size of the company, the quantity of employees, and the objectives, of course. But we have implemented programs from 8 weeks, like for example the NLX kind of model, and a full framework on entrepreneurship, which is maybe 1 year. So this is more or less the average, but normally it takes from 8 weeks to 6 months. Normally this is the average time for this kind of programs. Thanks, Manuel, for asking.
Yeah, I want to highlight also that I see a lot of interest in your questions around the people sphere, the people area, what we call smart humans. That is the kind of people that we need to face the future, the new normal. And we will have a specific session that is focused on mindful leaders and smart employees. And we will deep dive a lot the topic of the people sphere, and also how to grow the skills, how to grow the mindset that is needed, leveraging very innovative topics like mindfulness and art-based learning and some other topics around the skill of the future.
So take a note on the 19th of May if you are interested to attend this session.
I would just say thank you everybody for participating. I just inserted a link for everyone. If anyone wants to go deeper in their specific region about these questions, we have people like Diego, Massimo, and Andrea who would be more than happy to schedule with you. So please feel free to visit the website that's been posted. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the next, so please, you will receive a survey, the usual things that please kindly fill it if you can, and also the possibility to subscribe to the next session or to have a reminder for all the sessions. Feel free to select the option that you find more appropriate for you. And we hope, of course, me, Andrea, and Diego, we hope that you found this session interesting, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.